What is success to you? And I don't just mean what is like one area of success about earning money or achieving something. I mean, what is success in life to you? How do we know that when we take our last breath in life, that we're proud of what we did? We're admiring of how we showed up in life. We did what it is that we needed to be able to do for us to have a successful life at the end of the day. That's what I want to be able to talk to you in this episode, because let's be perfectly real. If we don't have a actual practical, usable, pragmatic way to know what it is that we're doing on a day-to-day basis so that it builds up into a life that we're truly happy about living, then we aren't able to actually we aren't able to actually show up in a day-to-day life to be able to do what it is that we want to be able to do. And essentially this really comes down to, I want you to make sure that we have that feeling, that sense, the meaning to life on a day-to-day basis, so that you're actually having a happy, very successful, even a very peaceful way for how you're living. Now, on a recent podcast that I got interviewed on, I talked about the 6 areas of life and my process to how I'm actually being able to at least look at how I'm showing up on a day-to-day level to know that I'm heading in the right direction. And there was some really great feedback, and that's what I want to be able to share with you today, and really unpacking my thought process to this so that you can mold it, tweak it, and change it so it's your process for you to be able to easily follow through. But what was really interesting was when I started getting all this really great feedback from that podcast interview, I started to poke and prod others. I went to friends and colleagues and clients and asking them, well, what's success to you in life? And what was really interesting was, because I started this process with myself, I was asking, well, what is success in my life? And when I really started to peel that onion, I started to find that the answers were just missed. They were falling away. There was nothing really there that I could hold on to. And the exact same was happening to all of these others. So if I was to ask you, what is success in your life? Do you have something that's firm and graspable, that you're really confident that that's what you're being able to do? And when we start peeling the onion back of, well, why is it that you want that? What do you think needs to happen for you to be able to get that? Have you got a process that is going to be able to be very practical and usable for you to know that? So there's 3 parts that I really want to share with you in this episode. And the first part is, I do not believe that success is an external scorecard. It's something that everyone is going to be looking at and being able to be like, yeah, that guy's super successful and he's living a fantastic life. And this is where so much of the problem arises from, is because you might be flicking through your phone, you might be seeing these other people and be like, wow, they're doing so many great things, but do you really know what's happening? Are you really sure and positive that they're actually living the life that they want to live? Do they have peace and harmony within themselves? You're not going to know that, and you don't really care, you shouldn't care, and you're not going to be able to really understand that, because that's somebody else. I want you to know if you're peaceful and having harmony within yourself. And this is where I lean on the wisdom traditions. Now, Buddha has a fantastic quote, and I'm probably going to butcher it a little bit here. It's not the outcome that defines whether an action is a success or not, but it is the motivation behind it. So my first question to you is going to be, what is your motivation behind what it is that you want to be able to achieve? If you say to yourself, and at the start of this episode, you're like, oh, I want to earn $3 million this year. Okay, that's fantastic. I'm not saying there's a right or wrong outcome or something that you want to be able to achieve, but why do you want that? Why do you want to be able to have that money? Why do you want to be able to have those accolades? Why is it that you want the things that you're saying to yourself that you want? Because a lot of the time, and I know this was for sure for me, because one of the hardest questions for me to be able to answer, and has been very salient and recent for me, was, what is it that I want? Do I want what I actually want at the end of the day? Because there's so much of a mimesis effect that is happening, because you are going to be getting affected from your environment, from the people that are around you, and from the information that you're consuming on a day-to-day level as well. So if your immediate environment, your circle of friends, are the people that you're constantly consuming maybe on social media and online, are saying that they're achieving these certain things, it can be very likely that you're going to be heading down that path and wanting those things as well. But is that true to you? is that actually what you want at the end of the day? And then when I look and lean upon the Stoics, and them, it's not the outcome that was a success or not, but it was by the process that defined whether something was a success or not. In this way, success was always in your control, which we'll see in just a second is really important, especially when it comes to what Seneca said, but especially when it comes down to us attaching our worth to what it is that we're trying to achieve. This is something that plagued me really badly. I think this is probably the biggest reason why I actually really want to share this with you. One of the biggest reasons why I was able to, through doing so much of the work was me actually coming to truth within myself and how dramatically that changed my life. Because before, I had so much of my self-worth based on what it was I was able to achieve. Was I a successful entrepreneur? Was I successful at speaking? Was I getting the things done that I said that I wanted to be able to get done? And the problem was so many of those things weren't happening, and they weren't happening for a big reason, and what I want to share with you in the third point of today's episode. But the problem was I was feeling shit about myself. I was feeling really down upon myself, and especially someone that has had a lot of suicidal ideation within my life, has been depressed, has had a lot of anxiety. I think a lot of it was really coming back down to was me wanting things that weren't actually true to myself, and me putting my self-worth onto achieving things that were actually outside of my control. And this is the Seneca quote that I think is so important for us to be able to use. The wise man looks to the purpose of all actions, not their consequences. Beginnings are in our power, but fortune judges the outcome, and I do not grant her verdict upon me. I do not grant her verdict upon me. Lady Fortune, something so important, because what is in our control at the end of the day? Our thoughts and our actions. Everything else is outside of our control. Let's think about the things that you have control of. You have control of your thoughts and your actions. So this is the motivation and the process behind what it is that you're going to do to get there. Everything else is outside of your control. And that is where we need to make sure that we're really putting our self-worth, we're really putting ourselves in the best place for peace and harmony, and making sure that the things that we're not leaning on that really Lady Fortune can take away from us at a snap of the fingers isn't going to cause us massive suffering. So just there, when we look at Buddhism and what the Buddha said, which was really talking about the motivation behind things, and then looking at the Stoics and saying it's all about the process, let's bring this together. And because this is the process that I've fallen into and have been using for quite some time. This is literally my daily journal that I use every single day. And there's two parts to this that I really want to share with you as well, because every single day, at the start of the day and at the end of the day, I reflect upon myself. And there's 6 areas of life that I go to. And what for me is super important is myself. So you can change these 6 areas of life, mold it to yourself. Please don't take everything that I'm saying as gospel, etched in stone. It 100% is not, but I'm sharing just my experience for you to be able to apply to yourself. So for me, the 6 areas of life is me as a father, as a husband, as a friend, as an entrepreneur, and with my happiness, and then with my health. So I'm actually super happy to share with you today what it is that I wrote. So at the moment right now, we're in Austin, Texas, shooting interviews and being able to share some great content with you. I'm away from the family. The family are back home, my 4 daughters and wife. So when I look upon myself and I think of myself as a father and husband, let's just use these 2 categories to start off with. As a father and husband, well, am I being a great father and husband right now when it comes to the actual outcome of it? I've got to be perfectly honest. No, I'm away. I'm not there. I'm not being a present, loving father that I really, really want to be. But I'm on my mission. I'm also doing the things that light me up, and there's the work that I absolutely love to be able to do. And I need to be able to find harmony between those things as well. So if I was just to look at the outcome as a father and husband right now, and if I had to rank myself, I'd rank myself a 1 or a 2, not doing great. But as an outcome, I then look at what is it that I can do to actually have great connection and to be able to communicate my love and appreciation to my daughters and to my wife. And so for me, we share audio messages. So one thing that we do, it's going a little side tangent, but I think we can bring this back home together, is at dinner time as a family, we sit down and we go through 4 questions that we all answer together. And it is, what was our favorite part of the day? It was, what am I grateful for? Then it was, what is something that I did kind today? And then it was, what am I looking forward to tomorrow? And so as a part of me being a great father today, I want to send an audio note when I finish my day up, and I want to send to my daughters an audio message via WhatsApp talking to those exact 4 things as well, and they're going to do the same thing. Now, I got to be honest, especially because I have a lot of guilt when going away on these trips, these little messages and audio notes are just so profound for me as a father to be able to hear as well. So the outcome of what I'm getting to is I want to make sure that I'm doing my best actions as a father and as an entrepreneur. Then when it comes down to being a friend and then entrepreneur and my health and happiness, I set the things that I want to be able to do. What is my process to be able to have a high ranking, to be able to show up in those areas of life that I'm being my best as well. And then what I do at the end of the day is I reflect upon myself and I look, well, did I actually do what I set out to do? Because at the start of the day, I'm committing to these tasks. I'm saying to myself, this is what I'm going to follow through with to ensure that I'm moving along and I'm successing towards what I want to be able to do. So when we try to wrap up a really big topic, that is, how can we be successful in life? How can we have more peace and harmony? There was 3 critical parts I wanted to share with you, which is really a part of you having the right motivation behind what it is that you want, and really making sure you're doing it for the right reasons and being truthful to yourself. Then it's the process. What is the process that you are actually doing, and ensuring that you are compartmentalizing between the things that you can do and the things that Lady Fortune could snap away from you at any moment of time. And then really showing a really practical standpoint of my 6 areas of life and how I, on a daily basis, go through the process to make sure I'm going through what I need to do to show up as the man that I want to show up as well. So I hope this process has been really helpful for you. I want you to be able to take just one part of this away. I'd love for you to comment below and be like, hey Chris, this is the one thing I'm going to use from your episode today that you're going to be able to take action with, because even that little step of you planting is a commitment to yourself, which is very important. Don't just consume information. Don't just watch and listen to this stuff right now and just go on to the next thing. Make it useful for yourself. And by making it useful very easily, make a commitment. Comment below what is it that you're going to commit to of just what we've been able to go through today together as well. And as always, thank you so much for your time and attention here. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode.